Hey, this is me, Myron Golden. Let me be bold and clear from the very beginning. Success is not something you stumble upon. It is something you schedule. You don't wake up one day wealthy, wise, and walking in divine purpose by accident. You arrive there by design. And that design is etched into your daily routine. If you show me how you spend your day, I'll show you your future. Because the secret to your next level is hidden in what you do when no one is watching. Success is not something that randomly chooses people based on luck, background, or personality. It is a destination that only responds to direction. And direction comes from discipline. If you look at anyone who has built something meaningful, whether in business, relationships, health, or faith, you'll find that behind the visible success was an invisible schedule. A commitment to doing certain things at certain times, regardless of how they felt. Success didn't sneak up on them. It was summoned daily. You cannot rise by wishful thinking. Hope is a good motivator, but it's a terrible strategy. People hope for success, but only the scheduled actually achieve it. There are people with more talent, more resources, and more connections than you, but if you outschedule them, you will outperform them. That's the truth. Because the battlefield of success is not in the big events. It's in the daily decisions. It's in the mundane, the repetitive, the uncelebrated actions that accumulate over time. When you put success on your calendar, you take ownership of your destiny. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission and start giving yourself an assignment. Winners don't rely on inspiration. They operate by instruction. They instruct themselves to write every day, to sell every day, to study every day, to pray every day, to improve every day. They treat their time like treasure, not a toy. The most successful people are not working 24 hours a day. They're not superhuman, but what they do have is an unwavering commitment to how they use the hours they have. They wake up with a plan. They go to bed with purpose. They don't allow distraction to dominate their day. They know that how you handle the first hour often determines the effectiveness of the next 10. Too many people are waiting for a feeling. They think they need motivation to move, but the truth is movement creates momentum, not the other way around. If you sit around waiting to feel like working, you'll still be sitting when the opportunity passes you by. Success comes to those who show up before it feels good, before it looks good, before it makes sense. Because they know that what you do when it's hard is what makes it easy later. There are people praying for a miracle while ignoring their Monday. They want divine intervention without personal intention. But miracles manifest through movement, through showing up, through structure. A dream without a schedule is just a fantasy. And fantasies don't pay bills, change families, or build legacies. Structure is the seedbed of the supernatural. When you give your goals a framework, you give them a fighting chance. You can talk all day about what you want, but until your calendar reflects your confession, your results will remain inconsistent. You say you want to be wealthy. Show me your hours of learning, creating, and selling. You say you want to be healthy. Show me your meals, your workouts, your sleep. You say you want to walk in purpose. Show me the moments you set aside to listen, to study, to obey. The gap between desire and destiny is bridged by design. What you design daily becomes what you display eventually. And the dangerous thing about success is that the early days look so ordinary. You don't see results right away. It feels like nothing's happening. That's why most people quit. They think effort without immediate evidence is wasted. But it's not. That effort is being multiplied in the background. Compound interest doesn't announce itself until it explodes. You don't need a miracle moment. You need a miracle method. A method that works even when you're tired, even when you're confused, even when you feel like giving up. Because it's not about how you feel, it's about what you've scheduled. The gym doesn't care if you're excited. The work doesn't care if you're confident. But your schedule, that's the agreement you made with your future. Your calendar is a mirror. It doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, it simply reflects what you value. If you look at it and see chaos, chances are your results will be the same. But if you see focus, order, and purpose, you are on the path to success, whether the results have shown up yet or not, because structure produces fruit long after the effort is made. We often glorify the grind, but ignore the guidance. And guidance lives inside the calendar. It says, this is what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and why it matters. It brings clarity, and clarity breeds confidence. When you know what's coming next, you don't waste time doubting or hesitating. You move, you build, you win. Successful people don't do more things. They do the right things consistently. They eliminate the noise. They build routines that serve their vision. They know that saying yes to everything means saying no to excellence. So they protect their schedule like it's sacred, because it is. There are no shortcuts. There are only schedules. You can't cheat time, but you can redeem it. You can't buy discipline, but you can build it. One decision, 1 hour, one morning at a time. The schedule becomes the system, and the system becomes the success. People admire the outcome, but rarely understand the order that created it. Emotions will lie to you. Your energy will fluctuate. Life will throw chaos your way. But a schedule keeps you anchored. It reminds you of who you are when you feel lost. It keeps you focused when things get noisy. It puts your vision in motion even when your motivation runs dry. That's why scheduled success is sustainable success. When you don't schedule success, you leave it up to chance. You hope for a lucky break, a viral post, a big opportunity. But those who win consistently don't wait. They create. They create through their habits, through their hours, through their systems. They live by design, not by default. Excuses live where schedules don't exist. The moment you plan, you begin to replace your problems with processes. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop drifting and start directing. Planning is prophetic. It's how you tell your future what to expect. A schedule is a vote for your future. Every time you follow through, you're casting another vote in favor of your greatness. You're building a resume of discipline. And that discipline doesn't go unnoticed. It compounds. It multiplies. It moves mountains. It's not about being busy. It's about being intentional. You can be busy every day and still be broke, unhealthy, and unfulfilled. But when you become intentional, every minute becomes meaningful. Every task becomes a tool. Every routine becomes a runway. Your life is not shaped by the big moments nearly as much as it is shaped by the small ones that repeat themselves every single day. Your routine, the pattern of your habits, choices, and disciplines, acts like a blueprint for your results. If you want to know where someone is headed, you don't have to guess. You just have to observe what they consistently do. The truth is, your future doesn't start in the future. It starts in what you do today, and then again tomorrow, and again the day after that. Many people chase success as if it's some grand event waiting to fall into their laps. But success is not an event. It's a reflection. It reflects your preparation, your consistency, and your personal order. If your daily routine is chaotic, disorganized, and reactive, don't expect your life to be peaceful, focused, and productive. Your results will never outgrow the systems that produce them. The harvest you want is tied to the habits you keep. We live in a culture obsessed with outcomes, but few want to inspect the inputs. Everyone wants results, but few are willing to evaluate the routine that's responsible for them. Your habits are like seeds. You plant them one at a time, and over time they grow into something you can't ignore. That's why it's dangerous to overlook your routine. Even a small habit, when repeated daily, becomes a giant in your life, either helping you or hurting you. A routine is not just what you do, it's who you're becoming. Every repeated action reinforces a belief about who you are. If you wake up every morning and choose to exercise, that action reinforces the identity of someone who values health and discipline. If you avoid your work and give in to distractions, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who runs from responsibility. Over time, those identities create realities. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your patterns. You may have big dreams, but if your routine is built on procrastination, inconsistency, and emotional decision-making, those dreams will stay locked in your imagination. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not as wide as you think. It's often just a matter of repeated action. We all have the same 24 hours, but what separates the productive from the passive is how they steward those hours. One person wakes up with a purpose, plans their day, invests in growth, and executes with intention. Another drifts from one distraction to the next, hoping something meaningful happens along the way. At the end of a month or a year or a decade, the difference in results is staggering, but it all traces back to what each person did daily. When you look at successful people, what you're really looking at is the outcome of practiced discipline. It's easy to admire the end result, wealth, health, influence, but those are just byproducts. The real work was hidden behind the scenes, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the routines that no one applauded. What you do in private eventually manifests in public, and your routine is either preparing you for promotion or setting you up for frustration. There's no such thing as neutral in your routine. Every action you take either pushes you closer to your goals or pulls you further away. Even the things that feel harmless, like mindless scrolling, hitting the snooze button, skipping a workout, compound over time. The danger isn't in doing them once. The danger is in doing them consistently without recognizing the cost. Your life is always moving in the direction of your most dominant habits. Clarity comes from structure. When your routine is solid, your mind is free to focus on higher level thinking. But when your days are scattered, your mind is burdened with constant decision making and stress. A strong routine frees up your mental energy so you can be creative, strategic, and present. It acts as a foundation, a place from which you can build greatness. Some people spend years praying for breakthrough, not realizing that their breakthrough is waiting on the other side of consistent action. Faith without structure is fragile. You can believe all you want, but belief without a routine that backs it up will eventually turn into disappointment. Hope must be supported by habits, otherwise it remains a wish rather than a weapon. Your routine is not just a set of tasks, it's a declaration. It declares to your future what kind of results you are preparing to receive. It declares to your body and your mind how serious you are about becoming the person you say you want to be. It declares to life itself that you are not here to drift, but to dominate. There are people who look at others and assume they're just naturally successful. But the truth is, most success stories are simply well-executed routines over time. The results may look effortless now, but they were born out of seasons of discipline where it would have been easier to quit than to keep going. And in those moments, it wasn't emotion that carried them, it was structure. We all face the temptation to quit. We all face the pull of comfort. But the difference between those who win and those who watch is that winners build a routine that can carry them through the days they don't feel like showing up. They don't negotiate with distractions. They don't wait for permission. They have built an internal system that keeps them aligned with their assignment. Some people think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want, but true freedom comes from discipline. When your routine is strong, you don't live at the mercy of your mood. You control your time, your energy, and your outcomes. You have margin. You have peace. You have the capacity to focus on what matters most. It's not just about doing more. It's about doing what matters most consistently. A scattered routine leads to scattered results, but a focused routine multiplies your effectiveness. It brings momentum, and momentum makes hard things feel easier. When you're aligned in your daily habits, success starts to feel natural. Not because it is, but because you've made the path so clear there's no room for confusion. If you study the most successful people in any field, you'll notice they all have rituals. These rituals ground them. They act as anchors in the middle of chaos. Whether it's how they start their mornings, how they plan their weeks, or how they review their progress, they have systems in place that ensure they don't drift. And when they get off course, they don't panic, they return to the routine. Repetition is the mother of mastery. You don't get good by doing something once. You get good by doing it again and again and again until it becomes second nature. That's why a routine is powerful. It allows you to build muscle memory in your craft, your mindset, and your mission. And once something becomes a part of who you are, no one can take it from you. What you repeat, you become. That's why your routine is not a chore, it's a tool. A sacred space where your values, your goals, and your vision all come together in action. It's easy to talk about the life you want. It's harder to live like it daily. But if you're willing to commit, to repeat, and to refine your routine, your results will have no choice but to rise. Discipline and consistency are not optional traits for success. They are requirements. Without them, talent goes to waste, potential stays locked up, and dreams dissolve into frustration. Every goal, every vision, every breakthrough is held together by the glue of discipline and the rhythm of consistency. You can pray for favor, you can visualize your future, but without daily action anchored in discipline, you'll stay stuck at the starting line. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about alignment. It means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It means putting principles above emotions. Discipline teaches you how to master your moment instead of letting the moment master you. It's the ability to tell yourself no when temptation calls and to keep showing up even when motivation is missing. It's about keeping promises you made to yourself long after the feeling that made the promises faded. Consistency, on the other hand, is the power of repetition. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it is transformational. The real magic happens not in doing something once, but in doing it over and over until it becomes who you are. Consistency doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply requires you to show up and do what must be done again and again. You cannot build anything lasting without discipline. You cannot sustain anything meaningful without consistency. These two are the twin engines of achievement. One fuels your focus, the other fuels your momentum. Discipline gets you started, consistency keeps you going. Without both, your progress becomes erratic and your results remain unstable. So many people start strong. They're excited at the beginning. They talk big, plan big, and dream big, but they fall off when the emotions fade. They disappear when it gets difficult. Why? Because they were motivated but not disciplined. They were inspired but not consistent. And the problem with depending on motivation is that it's a moving target. But discipline is fixed. It doesn't need to feel good to do good. A disciplined person doesn't need ideal conditions. They don't need the perfect mood, the perfect schedule, or the perfect environment. They understand that progress is forged in imperfect moments. They build routines that thrive under pressure. They stay grounded when others drift. Their strength lies in their structure. Consistency is how you build credibility with yourself. Every time you show up, even in the smallest ways, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are proving to your own mind that you are reliable, that you are trustworthy, that you can be counted on. And the more you follow through, the more confident you become, not because of a result, but because of the rhythm of your own behavior. Discipline and consistency are not just for business or fitness or personal development. They're essential in every area of life. Relationships need them, faith needs them, finances need them. You can't have a strong marriage without daily investment. You can't grow spiritually without consistent practice. You can't build wealth without disciplined stewardship. Anything you want to grow, you must first choose to be consistent in. The world is full of gifted people going nowhere. Why? Because they never developed discipline. Talent can open a door, but only discipline keeps you in the room. Natural ability can get you noticed, but only consistent effort makes you great. It's not what you do occasionally that changes your life. It's what you do daily. Discipline sharpens your focus. It helps you say no to distractions, no to procrastination, no to everything that pulls you away from your purpose. It puts a fence around your energy and directs it toward your goals. It eliminates the fluff and helps you see clearly what matters most. With discipline, you no longer react to life, you lead it. Consistency creates momentum. Even when results are slow, consistency keeps the wheel turning. One day turns into 1 week. 1 week turns into 1 month. And suddenly you're looking at a life that has changed, not because of a massive event, but because of a steady grind that never quit. That's the power of showing up over and over without applause, without recognition, simply because it's who you are now. Many people chase shortcuts. They want fast wins, instant results, and easy paths. But anything that comes fast without discipline leaves just as fast. Discipline builds character. Consistency builds capacity. Together, they ensure that when success comes, you can handle it, hold it, and multiply it. Because you didn't skip the process. When discipline and consistency are at the center of your life, you stop depending on inspiration and start relying on intention. You stop looking for permission and start taking responsibility. You become a builder, not a talker, not a dreamer, but a doer. And in a world full of noise, doers rise, not because they are louder, but because they are grounded. People often mistake discipline for rigidity, but it's actually the pathway to freedom. When you are disciplined, you gain control over your time, your emotions, and your actions. You don't live by chance, you live by choice. You are not tossed around by chaos. You create calm through structure. Consistency gives you peace because it removes uncertainty from your path. Discipline doesn't just get you results, it changes your identity. Every time you choose discipline, you are becoming stronger, sharper, and more stable. You're not just working on your goals, you're working on yourself. And that's the real reward. Not the thing you get, but the person you become through the process of becoming relentless. You may not be the fastest, you may not be the most talented, but if you are the most disciplined and the most consistent, you will outlast, outwork, and outperform people who once looked like they were ahead of you. Because the finish line doesn't care who started the flashiest. It only rewards those who endured the longest. And endurance is the fruit of discipline married to consistency. Success isn't built in a day, it's built daily. It's not the massive leaps that create transformation. It's the small, consistent steps that compound over time. We often underestimate the power of small daily wins because they don't always feel significant in the moment. But these small victories are the foundation for the massive breakthroughs we desire. They are the proof that progress is happening even when the results aren't yet visible. A single workout may not transform your body, but a commitment to move every day will. Reading 1 page might seem minor, but doing it daily creates a library of wisdom in your mind. Making one sales call doesn't change your business, but making that call every day builds momentum, sharpens your skill, and opens more doors than waiting for the perfect opportunity ever could. Small wins, repeated consistently, stack up into a mountain of change. We live in a world that celebrates the final result, but ignores the grind behind it. The breakthrough gets all the praise, but the daily wins, the small decisions to keep going when no one is watching, are what make the breakthrough possible. You don't stumble into greatness, you grow into it. You don't luck your way into mastery, you build it through layers of intentional action. Most people miss out on success because they're addicted to dramatic change. They want instant results. They want to lose 30 pounds in a month, build a 6-figure business overnight, or go from broke to wealthy in a weekend. But greatness doesn't work like that. Massive results are always preceded by a series of small disciplines done repeatedly with excellence. Small daily wins train your mind to focus on progress, not perfection. They teach you that movement matters more than speed. It's better to move an inch in the right direction every day than to stay stuck waiting for the ideal moment to take a mile-long leap. The compound effect of your consistent effort eventually creates a wave of momentum that's impossible to ignore. One of the most powerful aspects of small wins is that they build belief. Every time you follow through, even in a small way, you're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You build confidence, not from big achievements, but from daily alignment between your actions and your values. Confidence is born in consistency. It grows in the repetition of success at a micro level. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who stays stuck often isn't talent or intelligence. It's the ability to keep showing up. The person who keeps writing, keeps calling, keeps learning, keeps practicing, builds an internal momentum that eventually breaks barriers. The key is that they didn't wait for big results to celebrate. They learned to value the small wins along the way. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to start and then repeat. One better decision today. One focused hour tomorrow. One honest conversation. One extra rep. One more page read. Each of these small actions may not seem like much, but they move you forward. They build layers of discipline that can't be shaken by doubt or delay. Massive breakthroughs often show up looking like a sudden success to the world. But behind every overnight success story are months or years of quiet, faithful work. Behind every big win is a trail of small wins no one clapped for. Those early mornings, late nights, and in-between moments when you chose to act instead of quit are what shape the outcome. The beauty of small wins is that they are within reach. You don't need $1 million to start. You don't need perfect conditions, perfect timing, or external validation. You just need the willingness to do something today that moves you closer to your vision. Small wins are not about what you have. They're about what you're willing to do with what you have. Every massive breakthrough starts as a whisper, a quiet decision to change, a small step taken in faith, a repeated choice to keep going when it would be easier to give up. Breakthroughs are not born in noise. They are born in silence. They are cultivated in the secret places where no one sees the work but you. The more you learn to celebrate the small wins, the more fuel you give your journey. Every win gives you feedback. Every win confirms that your efforts are working, even if the full picture hasn't emerged yet. Your job is to stay consistent enough, long enough, that the picture starts to reveal itself in a way no one can deny. People don't fall short because they lack potential. They fall short because they despise small beginnings. They overlook the little steps because they think success must be loud and dramatic. But the truth is, most people would be unstoppable if they simply stopped quitting after they started. The secret is to keep stacking the wins, one decision at a time. There's a rhythm to small wins. They create a cadence of confidence. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your identity as someone who finishes what they start. And as your identity shifts, your results begin to reflect it. You start to walk with a different posture, not because everything has changed yet, but because you know it will. Your brain responds to completion. When you set a goal, take action, and achieve even a small win, your brain rewards you with a sense of fulfillment. This reward fuels motivation, and motivation feeds momentum. It's a cycle that starts with one simple act of follow-through. That's why the small wins matter so much. They activate the drive to keep going. You're not just building habits, you're building a legacy. The small wins you stack up today become the habits your children observe, the stories people tell, and the life that inspires others. It's never just about what you do for yourself. Your discipline becomes a beacon. Your consistency becomes a testimony, and your breakthrough becomes a model for others who are still struggling to believe in their own. Small wins create resilience. When you experience setbacks, and you will, it's the discipline of daily success that keeps you grounded. You've trained yourself not to rely on motivation, but on commitment. So when the storm hits, you don't collapse. You return to the basics. You return to the steps that brought you this far. You keep winning even when it's hard. The person who commits to daily improvement can't help but grow. It may be slow and may be quiet, but it's inevitable, because small wins are like bricks, and if you lay them down every single day, before long you'll look up and realize you've built something massive, something solid, something that couldn't have been rushed or replaced. And it all started with one small decision done faithfully. You can talk all day about what matters to you, but at the end of the day, your habits will tell the truth. You don't need to announce your priorities. They show up in how you live. What you do consistently reveals what you are truly committed to. The words are easy. The declarations are free. But the habits cost something, and that price reveals your real level of commitment. Your calendar tells the story of your values. Your routines display what you actually believe. If you say you want to grow a business, but you spend hours scrolling and none studying, your habits have exposed your true focus. If you claim you want to get healthy, but your daily choices don't reflect that discipline, then health isn't a commitment, it's a convenience when it feels good. People lie with their lips, but they live in their patterns. You don't even have to ask someone what they care about, just watch them long enough. What they do when no one's looking, what they default to when life gets hard, what they repeat when motivation fades. That's who they really are, and that's what they're truly committed to. You cannot rise above your habits. You can have high hopes, big dreams, and strong intentions, but if your daily actions aren't aligned, you'll stay stuck in the cycle of frustration. Your life will always drift in the direction of your most dominant routines. It's not your desire, but your discipline that drives your destiny. This is why it's dangerous to confuse interest with commitment. Being interested in something means you'll do it when it's easy, when it's convenient, when it fits your mood. But being committed means you'll do it even when it's hard, even when it's costly, even when no one understands why you're doing it. And the difference between the two is always visible in your habits. Your habits don't form accidentally. They are designed by your daily decisions. Every action you take either reinforces your commitment or weakens it. Every shortcut taken, every excuse made, every delay accepted is a deposit into the account of mediocrity. But every time you follow through, even in a small way, you build a stronger foundation under your future. Your real commitments are never just about what you start, they're about what you sustain. Anybody can start something. Starting is emotional. Starting is exciting. But sustaining is where the real work is. It's in the early mornings, the late nights, the moments of resistance where the habit is tested and refined. Your ability to repeat the right action under pressure defines the strength of your commitment. Look at your morning, look at your evening, look at what you prioritize in the in-between. Your routines are not random, they are results. They are mirrors. They reflect what matters to you. You can't say you're serious about your calling if you're not serious about your time. You can't say you value growth if your habits make no room for it. The truth is always in the repetition. Habits are a reflection of who you are becoming. They are not just tasks, they are identity-shaping rhythms. You don't just do the habit, you become the type of person who does it. When you pray daily, you become the person who prioritizes spiritual growth. When you read daily, you become the person who finishes what they start. When you execute daily, you become the person who finishes what they start. Many people want to be committed in public but refuse to stay committed in private. They want recognition without repetition. They want applause without accountability. But true commitment doesn't seek an audience, it seeks alignment. You do it not for likes, but for legacy. You show up not for validation, but because it's who you've decided to be. Your excuses also reveal your commitments. If you constantly say you don't have time, what you're really saying is it's not a priority. Because if it mattered enough, you would make time, you would find a way. Commitment always finds a way. It doesn't look for loopholes, it looks for leverage. It takes responsibility and builds a structure that supports the vision. Your commitments are not emotional, they're structural. You build them with systems, with schedules, with strategy. You don't wait for inspiration to strike. You don't depend on hype to carry you through. You create a system that keeps you on track when your feelings don't cooperate. The most successful people are not the most passionate. They are the most consistent. Every habit you have is either pushing you toward the life you want or pulling you away from it. There is no neutral ground. The time you invest, the conversations you entertain, the content you consume, the food you eat, the money you manage, it's all part of the equation. Nothing is random. Everything is a result of what you've decided to commit to at a foundational level. Your results don't lie. If you want to know what you're truly committed to, look at what you're producing, your health, your finances, your peace of mind, your spiritual maturity. All of it is a reflection of repeated behavior over time. Change doesn't start with motivation. It starts with a moment of honesty, a decision to measure what is so you can begin to align with what could be. You will never rise consistently to the level of your goals. You will always fall consistently to the level of your habits. That's why change doesn't start with setting a higher goal. It starts with building a stronger routine. You don't need more ambition, you need more alignment. Your actions must match your aspirations or you'll always feel stuck. People may admire your dreams, but they'll respect your discipline. They may be impressed by your plans, but they'll trust your process. Talk fades, emotions fluctuate, but habits endure. If you want to be taken seriously by others or even by yourself, let your life reflect the standards you say you live by. When you build habits that align with your real priorities, you no longer have to force progress. You create a rhythm where progress becomes automatic. You're not starting over every week. You're not negotiating with yourself every day. You've made the decision once, and now you're living it over and over, reinforcing the future with every step you take. At the core of every great life is a set of invisible, intentional habits. They are not glamorous. They are not loud, but they are powerful. They hold the future in place. They unlock doors that wishful thinking never will. Because commitment is not proved in a promise, it's proved in practice. And practice shows up in what you choose to do daily when no one else is watching. Your routine is the architect of your destiny. It's the silent force that either constructs the life you want or dismantles it piece by piece. Every morning you wake up, your habits begin to shape you. They set the tone for your day, influence your mindset, and dictate the trajectory of your future. What you do repeatedly isn't just a schedule, it's a blueprint for who you become. Many people underestimate the power of routine because it feels ordinary and repetitive. But routine is where transformation happens. It's not in the big moments or sudden breakthroughs. It's in the daily grind, the simple acts that most people overlook or avoid. Those acts build muscle, build discipline, and build character. Your routine either supports your goals or sabotages them, and usually it's doing both simultaneously in different areas. If you're living in chaos, overwhelmed by distractions and inconsistent effort, your routine is the culprit. It's not a lack of talent or resources that holds most people back. It's a lack of a structured, intentional daily routine. Without a plan for your time, your energy dissipates like water through a cracked bucket. You become reactive instead of proactive, drifting On the other hand, when you design a routine that aligns with your priorities, you build momentum. You create an environment where progress becomes natural, not forced. A strong routine acts like guardrails on a highway, keeping you on course when temptation and fatigue threaten to pull you off track. It becomes the foundation for sustainable success. Your routine influences every area of your life. Your health, your relationships, your work, and your mindset. Skipping workouts, neglecting nutrition, sacrificing sleep, or failing to invest in learning won't feel urgent today, but over time, these small choices erode your potential. The same goes for how you manage your time and energy. Your routine silently dictates whether you grow or decay. It's easy to believe that the big choices matter most. The career change, the major investment, the life-altering decision. But it's the routine behind those choices that determines if they lead to success or failure. Big decisions are just moments. Your routine is the story that plays out every day, week after week, until the moment becomes your reality. If your routine is breaking you down, it's probably because it's built on autopilot and bad habits. We all fall into routines without realizing their power. We binge watch, scroll endlessly, procrastinate, and justify our lack of action with excuses. These are routines too. They are habits that steal your time and drain your motivation. And they leave you wondering why you're stuck. Breaking free means becoming aware of what your routine really looks like. It requires honesty, no sugarcoating or excuses. You have to audit your day minute by minute to see if your routine is serving your future or sabotaging it. When you identify what's working and what's not, you can start making intentional shifts, swapping destructive habits for constructive ones. Change feels hard because routine is comfortable. It's familiar. Even if your current routine limits you, it's what you know. But growth demands discomfort. To build a routine that builds you, you must embrace that discomfort. You have to show up even when it's inconvenient, when you're tired, when nobody else is watching. That's the test of your character. A powerful routine includes time for rest and renewal. It's not about relentless grinding or punishment. It's about balance and intentionality. The best routines create space for focus and flow, but also for recovery and reflection. They recognize that peak performance isn't sustainable without restoration. Your routine should nurture your body, mind, and spirit. Your mindset also lives in routine. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Are you rushing and stressed or calm and purposeful? Do you feed your mind with negativity or encouragement? The morning habits you choose, whether it's prayer, meditation, journaling, or planning, have the power to shape your perspective and increase your resilience. The cumulative effect of your routine compounds over time. Small improvements made daily turn into massive advantages over months and years. Conversely, small neglects turn into significant setbacks. This is why what you do consistently matters more than what you do occasionally. Excellence is not an act, but a habit repeated relentlessly. Your environment impacts your routine. If your surroundings are cluttered, chaotic, or distracting, your routine will suffer. You must take ownership of your space and create conditions that support your habits. This might mean decluttering, setting boundaries, or redesigning your schedule. Your routine thrives when your environment aligns with your goals. Accountability strengthens routine. When you commit to someone, whether a coach, mentor, or friend, your routine gains structure and discipline. It becomes harder to quit or slack off because you know others are watching and expecting results. Accountability transforms your routine from a private struggle into a shared journey. Beware the temptation to wait for motivation to start your routine. Motivation is fleeting and unreliable. Routine is reliable because it doesn't depend on feelings. When you cultivate a strong routine, you don't have to wait to feel like it. You just do it. This is how champions are made, by doing the work regardless of how they feel. Routine also builds resilience. When life throws curveballs, a solid routine helps you bounce back quickly. It gives you a sense of control and stability in chaos. Because your routine is not about avoiding challenges, but about developing the strength to face them head on. Grounded in your daily practices. Your routine is a reflection of your self-respect. When you honor your time and energy, you communicate to yourself that you are worthy of investment and care. Neglecting your routine signals the opposite, that you tolerate chaos and distraction. The way you treat your daily habits reveals your self-love or lack thereof. If you want to change your life, start with your routine. It's not about overhauling everything at once. It's about small, consistent adjustments that align your daily actions with your highest vision. The routine you build today determines the legacy you leave tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, your routine is either building you